Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another edition of Wasted Potential, in which myself and a guest discuss various topics, ideas, and concepts, or even characters, and whether or not they were wasted in their respective series or movies. And today, we're going to be talking about a character and a villain that a lot of people really enjoyed in the film Fukatsu no Fusion, Goku to Vegeta, or Fusion Reborn, known as the English dub.
What a weeb.
Basically, we're going to discuss whether or not the villain of that film, Janemba, was wasted in Dragon Ball Z. And joining me today to help me with this topic is someone you all very well know by now, and he's also doing his own Janemba video, which you can go and check out right now after the video is over, of course, and his name is...
Yes, indeed, the great priest of the Dragon Ball community. The Emperor Big D Geekdom101. And yes, I have a video on the Geekdom101 channel with your frequent partner, Josh, talking about how strong Janemba was, but that's not what this video is. Essentially, what this video is going to turn into is how cool was Janemba, because Janemba, so the Dragon Ball Z movie villains were all created by Takao Koyama. We're talking about Garlic Jr., Hirudegarn, all of them, Broly. Janemba, I think, is the coolest one. A lot of people love Broly. I personally feel that Janemba is my favorite movie villain. And I like most of them, but he is my personal favorite.
Yeah, Janemba was definitely an awesome villain, not only because of his really cool design in his second form, which we all can admit is freaking awesome, and I don't even believe Toriyama even touched the design for that form, did he?
For Janemba, no. Well, I don't think as far as we know, he pretty much said that it's fine, it's good to go. But I think that Yamamuro changed the colors last minute. But other than that, no, he didn't. And just look at Janemba, Final Form Janemba. Final Form Janemba is so cool looking. And I'm going to say this, all right? Let's just start this off by saying, yes, I do think Janemba was wasted potential, much like Dabura. The concept of this demonic villain. And again, Majin Buu is also demonic, but with Janemba we have a demon that, first of all, he looks like Satan, and so does Dabura.
Yes.
He has abilities that are so freaking cool that we've never seen before in Dragon Ball. The ability to manipulate time and space like he did in Hell. The fact that he could literally alter the universe. We're talking about some Franklin Richards level abilities in Dragon Ball.
Yes.
I've actually had some fans go on a limb to say that he's actually cooler than Majin Buu as far as villains go. And in reality, it's hard to argue that. This guy came along. First of all, his origin story, unlike these other villains like Bojack and Broly, who just showed up from space out of nowhere, Janemba actually has an origin story. He was created from the manifestation of evil that went into the soul cleansing machine and went into the One Oni. That's amazing. Like, how many villains actually get an origin story in Dragon Ball? Cell got one, Buu kind of got one, and that was changed later on. Mm-hmm. Certainly Vegeta got one, and Piccolo got one too, Demon King Piccolo. But I think Janemba's is so unique and creative. I think that the fact that he uses that sword is great. And I'm talking about Final Form Janemba. Fat Janemba's okay, but Final Form Janemba's the cool one. I do think that not only was Janemba wasted potential, I thought he was such a great villain that I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he should have been canon, like a lot of other fans say about Broly, but I do think Janemba's way cooler than Broly, and I think that Janemba... It would have been awesome if Janemba was the real final villain of Dragon Ball. Because even though I love Majin Buu, and I think that the concept behind Buu is great, the throwback to Terminator 2 Judgment Day with the T-1000 kind of liquefying himself back into form that Buu did, that stuff's all cool. But Janemba and his abilities just seem like, the fact that he was so powerful that he literally flipped Hell upside down and not stopped, but he pretty much... I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? He
threw the whole thing into disarray.
Disarray, yeah, thank you. Like, he took the living and the dead, the world of the living and the dead, and pretty much merged them for a little while. That, to me, seems like a really serious threat beyond, almost any villain before. I mean, yeah, Buu could have destroyed all the Kais, but I think that the merging of the world of the living and the dead is, like, such a great, like, epic comic book story. And I think Janemba, I think that movie could have been a lot better.
Yeah, imagine if it had been an arc. Now, they did kind of take some of the concepts later on with Super Android 17, Dragon Ball GT, the dead coming out of hell to the Earth to fight them once again as villains. But ultimately, Janemba was so cool, and I do prefer his overall character and the idea of him, at least, to Majin Buu, who is really probably my least favorite main antagonist of the Dragon Ball Z portion of the Dragon Ball franchise. And I think that if Janemba had taken more time to expand upon his character, maybe he could speak a little bit, something cool like that, then we would have certainly had an even better villain. And look at just the ways they implement some of his ideas or some of his abilities. Like, for example, when he is in that original fat form, when he's fighting Goku, he uses his reality warping powers to create another Goku in his hand to fire back a reverse Kamehameha at Goku, so he's not able to get him, so Goku has to turn Super Saiyan 3 just to beat that form, which Buu couldn't even, he said, this is the last person since Majin Buu to make me do that. And then we got the awesome creation of Gogeta, that awesome fusion in something I honestly kind of feel like Gogeta in many ways is cooler than Vegito as well, especially because of how he was used in that movie to get the ultimate defeat of Janemba.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if I would say he's as powerful from what we saw as Majin Buu.
I got a whole video about it.
Yes, which you definitely have to go check out after you're done with this video. But I will say his abilities were definitely cooler than Boo's. I love how he splits into all these cubes when he phases through reality or creates swords. Just such a cool character.
Yeah, I agree. And just everything about the character I thought was so well done. The way he was designed, he has that sinister look when he transforms. And even the baby Janemba with the diaper. Janemba, he's annoying, but it somewhat is very Japanese to have a childlike entity then become something serious. I mean, the metaphor there, of course, is that we have Fat Majin Buu and then Super Buu, Fat Janemba, and then Super Janemba, which actually some fans have called Janemba's final form Super Janemba. It is a common fan name. And I agree, that whole movie, I don't want to go into a canon, non-canon debate. The movie's not written by Toriyama. Toriyama did design Gogeta, and he certainly came up with Fusion. But there are so many things in that movie that I think people love. Just Gogeta, just everything about that film. Hitler. I know Juan loves that part. But it's just, that is, I don't know. It's probably other than Battle of Gods, my favorite Dragon Ball movies are Battle of Gods, The World's Strongest, and then in third place, it's going to be Fusion Reborn. It's going to be, Revival of Fusion. Because just great concept. I wish we saw more of Gogeta and more of Janemba. I really do wish we had seen that, but it's a crime. So yes, to answer the question, I do think Janemba was wasted potential. I think he could have been a significantly bigger deal. I think he could have even come back in a future movie or even in GT or something like that. Because Cooler came back in GT.
Yeah.
So it's possible. I just think that Janemba, what a great villain. Even though he didn't have much of a personality, his origin was just very unique, very creative, and he kicked their ass. And I guess if you want him to come back, you got to play Dragon Ball Heroes. And of course, Xenoverse 2, he's supposed to be in that too, so there you go.
Well, knowing kind of the canon, quote-unquote, of Super right now, for all we know, he's going to show up in the next arc after he's revived, and, then him and Captain Ginyu Frog are going to, hang out and party around with Bulma, and then they're going to have Pizza and, Mr. Satan's whole group there from the Cell games that weren't even in the manga. So who knows with Super right now, but this has been another video in which we were talking about whether or not Janemba was wasted, and I agree with Big D. I definitely think he was, and I think he could have been so much cooler or used so much better in the actual arc or in a full arc itself. Let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments section if you agree with us whether or not he was wasted. Also, don't forget to go over to Geekdom101 after this video is over, watch that video, and, check out his other videos. He talks about Dragon Ball, but also Star Wars, movies, and general awesome stuff in general. So go over there, give him a subscribe, and as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Wow, Janemba's puny though. Where is his muscular form?
Yeah, it's clear that Janemba had the greatest bulk to cut in history, going from the fattest fat bastard to Frank Zane. He's still not as aesthetic as me.